Hello there. It's July 21st, 2020. My name is Joe Weston, and we're here for our weekly online global practice for reviving the global heart. We're shifting from a global meditation for lasting peace to a global reviving practice for reviving the global heart. And it's great to see familiar faces. It's great to see new faces. Great to see people from various parts of North America, now Central America, and Europe as well. And we gather every week to practice with one another, to support one another, to be in community with one another. And we all, as we gather here, we all hold a common vision that there is a possibility with the proper circumstances that there could be a birthing of a sense of lasting peace on this planet. And that we've talked many times about how lasting peace is different from peace. And where peace, that can be an instantaneous thing. Someone can put down their firearms and create that sense of no more war in a sense. But those are usually temporary. I'm going to ask everyone if you wouldn't mind for now to mute yourself, and as we get started later, when we're in discussion, we can talk, unmute in a sense. Anyway, so so establishing that, what that means is that that's a daily practice. To manifest lasting peace is a moment-to-moment reality. There's no magic moment when suddenly it's different, and then you can relax and say, okay, the work is done. Actually, that's when the work begins, the moment you commit to lasting peace. And that it's a commitment from every individual to basically take care of their own responsibility in the moment to moment of how am I treating people? How am I being treated? If I tend to harm people, whether that's consciously or unconsciously, do I have the courage and the responsibility to take care of that and clean that up? Do I notice in my own self bias and how I separate myself from others, or I label or judge people and create separation and othering and breaking? And do I actually have the courage and the skills and the wherewithal to actually overcome what could be very basic biological tendencies, if not trauma tendencies or cultural ways we've been taught culturally to overcome those patterns, to actually increase, to be an agent on this planet for an increase in bridging and reconciliation and healing. And what we always say with this kind of work is finding alliances in the most surprising places. That's a commitment. And many of you, I know many of you, and I know that you at least have the aspiration to want to live that, if not actually shifting things in your life to actually live it and opening up to more. And what this practice does is it offers the foundation for that, of cultivating a deeper level of resilience, and actually looking within your own heart space, at your own capacity for compassion, for courage, for love, in a way, and not only just with those that seem safe to do that with, but actually creating the resilience to actually increase your capacity of who you can hold in your heart and what that means. And that's in essence what we're doing here. And as we do that, as more of us gather from various places in the world, that's a way we can revive the global heart. If you say that the global heart, the human family, on some level, that the heart is suffering. And what happens when someone goes into cardiac arrest, for instance, is that you start pushing on the heart, on the chest, you give mouth to mouth, you use a defibrillator, and you could say that's who we are. We're actually that mechanism to revive what is in the truest nature of ourselves. And I think an important thing I want to bring up this week in our talk, I'll give a little bit of a context to this, then we'll do our practice, I'll lead you in the practice, and then we'll have time to reflect afterwards. And we'll close with the dedication. And I want to bring this up, this idea of the heart. We've been talking to different people with Respectful Confrontation, but also with the Fear Civility Project, and getting advice on how best, what kind of groups of people can we work with to offer the practices and skills of respectful confrontation and fear civility to help overcome some of the polarization and the breakdowns in connection that's causing to a lot of the disconnect and oppression and income inequality, for instance. And the bottom line, the process says it all comes back to getting back to your heart. And the question is, how do you sell that? How do you get people who are so stuck in their heads? Because if it was just going to be an intellectual solution, then we would have already solved it. We've been doing that for hundreds of years, if not for thousands of years, to try to address some of our basic human issues, and never seem to really come up with a lasting solution. And I would say because we're approaching it from our heads and from just the intellect and ideas and opinions, which actually on some level is creating more chasm in our connections, just from politically, religiously, racially, choices of what you think would be the best economic system in where you live. These are all intellectual ideas that are just creating more separation. Whereas the heart binds us. And it might be, and how do you advocate for the power in the heart of transcending and cutting through all of those distractions and confusion to get us back to common ground, to get us back to starting with your humanity and connecting with the humanity of another. And that's what the fear civility process is to be able to understand how a lot of ideas and labeling, as we look in this meditation as well, is keeping us from connection. And what will it take for us to try to remove those, put our assumptions aside and drop back into being present, fully connected in this moment from a heart-to-heart space. And from there, beginning the work of reconciliation and healing. And it's in that place that new solutions can emerge that can actually create lasting change. So how do you break through that? And one thing I was thinking about is that, you can spend hours discussing one political view or another, or whether we should wear masks or not, or whether we should get vaccines or not. Believe me, those discussions are happening, and unfortunately can get very ugly. Question is, why is it getting ugly? That I don't know if I have an answer to. And I could say it's because there's an absence of the heart in the conversation. But what transcends all that to get us back to our hearts is something that we find very important in the work that we do, is really identifying what are your core values? What do you value most? Because for me, your core values come exactly from your heart, comes from your soul. Heart and soul and consciousness are for me the same. So in a sense, I can have a political view and you can have a political view, but at the same time, maybe we can find common ground in just the very basic thing of, let's try to do our best not to harm others. And let's try our best to help and support others. Those are core values that transcend party, transcend ideology. If there's someone who is an anti non-harm to someone, then that's clear. You get your answer. They're not the person that that is going to be the first on your list to try to bridge with, to create new solutions and to create lasting peace. However, I do believe that there are many, 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 many more people than what we see in the media who, if you can get them back to their hearts and to that place of, can we just agree on the fact that we want to try to minimize the amount of harm we're experiencing and that others are experiencing and what we're doing to others, and that we really want to advocate for the happiness and the well-being of not only ourselves but others. Those are core values, and that transcends all of the ideology. So I invite you, if you've never done that, to, for yourself, do a values clarification. What are the things you value most? What are the things that that would you say reflect your highest self when you're at your best, when you're at your most connected, when you're most in your heart, when you're most present, connected to others, and in alignment with your highest values and highest philosophy? What are those values? And in this practice of resilience and fierce compassion for what we're doing here and reviving the global heart, how can you walk in the world as an embodiment of your highest values? That in itself is an enormous contribution. That it's not just an idea that's great to talk about at a party, or if you're offering a talk, or in a business meeting when you talk about the company's core values or your core values. For us, it's all about embodiment. The first step is the idea of it. The second step is letting it drop into your heart so you have a passion for it and an understanding for it. And the third step is in your core, actually walking the world with that. That's how I believe what I call that. And that's a sense of personal transformation, that you go from your hope and aspiration for stepping into your best or highest self to actually embodying it and being your best and highest self at all moments, even when you're triggered. And that's personal transformation. And just that act of moving through the world from that place, I believe, is an instantaneous way of of you being part of the process of cultural transformation. It's not easy and it takes work. However, it is possible. And if there's ever a time that the world has needed us, the planet itself and the beings on this planet, for us to do that practice, it's now. So take your time, in the next week or so, next few days, and really sit down. What do I value most? What would I fight for? Because it could be justice. It could be harmony. It could be accountability. It could be success. It could be, there's many, just thinking about, there are hundreds and hundreds of core values. And which ones really sing to you? Which ones resonate with you, that your heart sings when you think of them? And that's when you know that that's something that's true to you. And it makes you unique. While values are universal, the ones that you resonate with most makes you unique. Just like a painting, right? There are universal colors. There are so many colors you can have to paint a painting. However, the artist will take those colors and mush them up and create patterns of them that's unique to that particular painting. It's still the same universal colors. And by looking at it from that perspective, in fact, not only your core values, but all your challenges in your life, your triumphs in your life, your trauma in your life that you are working to overcome, all the different colors on the palette of who you are. And now is the time to create your own masterpiece, or to fully embody that. And that's a way, that is an act of activism, I would say, at this moment, to walk the world as your best self, from your highest values, with a desire for being in your heart, for cultivating compassion for yourself and others, for increasing your capacity for presence and connection, having the courage and the skills to have the difficult conversations with those who have different views, finding common ground, and seeking out in that place new alliances to strengthen your capacity for your scope of influence, and maybe even seeing if new solutions emerge. So I leave it with that just now in terms of something to think about. We're going to do our practice now. For those of you who are not on camera, you don't have to, but it's always nicer to see who we're meditating with. So if that's not a problem for you, there's no obligation, but if you wouldn't mind getting on camera, it's nice to see familiar faces, as I said again, from various places. If I'm not mistaken, North America, Central America, and Europe at the moment. Thank you, Raven, for your contribution, your Central American contribution.
It's amazing. I had a whole continent.
You represent a whole continent. Yes, you do. That's how much power you have. And I know you do. Okay, so I'm going to lead you in this meditation. It starts with a principle that I use in the methodology of respectful confrontation called the core exercise. So it's focusing in your lower belly, which is, you could say, to identify it, is the width of 3 fingers below your navel and a third of the way into the body. So if you put your fingers together and you place your index finger over your navel, Where your pinky resides, that's approximately the width of 3 fingers below your navel. And if you bring your, now from that point, if you're focusing on a point that's the width of 3 fingers below your navel, now bringing your attention inside of your body about a third of the way from the front of the body, you're now identifying a point somewhere in your lower belly. It's call it an energetic center. Bring your full attention to that spot. It's what I would call your core or your center of gravity, impulse, creativity. And I would say where your personal power resides. And it's also your center of awareness. It's from here that you perceive and sense reality. And the whole important point of this part of the practice is learning to cultivate a deeper level of presence and awareness as a way of being more present and connected and mindful of your moment-to-moment impulses, which allows you to, before they get the better of you, and maybe make appropriate choices to the moment that are in truly alignment with your highest values. From your center, become aware of the parts of your body that are connecting with what you're sitting on, whether that's a chair or the floor or you're standing and the ground. And from this place of awareness, sensing into those points that are creating pressure with what you're sitting on as gravity brings you closer to the ground. Remembering these as your anchor points. And from these points, allowing yourself on a deeper level, and even telling your nervous system, reminding your nervous system, you are held, you are supported, which may allow you to drop in a deeper way. From your center, become aware of your physical body, just noticing. All you're doing is listening in this exercise, in a sense, through your center, through awareness, becoming aware of sensations in the body. It's this way of speaking to you. Heart rate, rhythm of breath. And all sensations are welcome, all feelings are welcome. There's no right or wrong way to do this exercise. It's about finding your way. From your center, become aware of your emotions. Not that you need to judge them or change them. All you're doing is becoming aware of what is unfolding in this moment. And what's unfolding in this moment at all times actually is physical responses, emotions. And notice which ones seem to be present at this moment. And as we cultivate a deeper level of balance and flow, allowing those emotions to flow. Free of judgment. From your center, become aware of your thoughts. Really keeping your focus in your center and cultivating that level of awareness as you are aware of or observe your thoughts. Keeping your focus in your center as the foundation of this practice, personal power, as you bring awareness now to your heart, to the middle of your chest, where your heart power resides, where your core values reside, your aspirations for your highest self reside. Courage, compassion. And from your center and from your heart, becoming aware of that part of you that may connect with something larger than yourself. And from that connection, or observing from that part of you, what might be your connection at this moment to something larger than yourself. That could be something spiritual. It could be highest human potential. It could be humanity. It could be love. With more of an awareness of yourself in this present moment, from your center and from your heart, take a full breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Allowing energy to flow and emotions to flow as you come more into the present moment, deeper level of connection. Now building on this experience with an awareness of yourself, now from your center and from your heart, becoming aware of your surroundings. Keeping your eyes closed, sensing in all directions your surroundings. Objects, temperature, sounds, smells, light. Placing yourself in a context. Allowing energy to flow and emotions to flow. And with more of an awareness of yourself and your surroundings in this present moment, from your center and from your heart, take a full breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. And with more of an awareness of yourself and your surroundings in this present moment, from your center and from your heart, become aware of those in this meditation circle, those who have joined this call this morning or afternoon. As I said, from various parts of North America, Central America, Europe, perhaps other places. From your center and from your heart, with respect and honor, connecting with the center and the heart of everyone involved with this meditation at this moment. And how does that feel? Can you feel a connection? And with more of an awareness of yourself, your surroundings, and those in this meditation circle, from your center and from your heart, take a full breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. And now as we increase our scope of awareness, maintaining a connection with yourself, your surroundings, and those in this meditation circle, as we open our hearts and become aware from our center and our hearts with all human beings, beginning with those human beings that you would label loved ones. If you're new to this meditation, kind of meditation, what does it actually mean, loved ones? Who do you include in your list of loved ones? And notice in your heart if faces arise that you know, or groups of people. And connecting with them from your core, your personal power, and your heart in this moment. Considering how you might be influencing them at this moment, or they you. And from your center and from your heart, becoming aware of those human beings that you would label strangers. Again, what does that mean to you? What human beings arise in your heart when you consider strangers? Maybe you see groups of people or an individual or individuals. Could be a neighbor, someone you saw in a supermarket, someone or some group of people you've read about in the papers, if you read a paper still. And how might you be influencing from your heart and your personal power at this moment, and how might they be influencing you? And from your center and from your heart, becoming aware of those human beings that you would label adversary. And again, who arises in your heart? No shame, no guilt, no holding back. And the practice is, in terms of resilience, stretching into a deeper level of compassion, is at this moment, can you connect with them from your core, your personal power, and your heart? Allowing energy to flow and emotions to flow. Now with more of an awareness of yourself, your surroundings, those in this meditation circle, and all human beings, regardless of how you label them as loved one, stranger, or adversary, from your center and from your heart, take a deep, full breath in through your nose, right up into your heart, and out through your mouth. And take a moment as you sit with yourself, your surroundings, those in this meditation, and all human beings in your heart at this moment. Just what the first that comes to your mind, a core value, something that you value. It could be justice, it could be love, it could be family. Core value that just ignites your heart at this moment. And as if you're standing in the middle of your heart with all human beings around you that you've now just connected with, just sing out, scream out your core value to them. To all of them. To you, to your surroundings, to those in this meditation circle, those you consider loved ones, those you consider strangers, and those that you consider adversaries. And imagine if it really resonates and that they can really receive this. They can absorb it. All human beings at this moment take a deep breath in and basically saying, I receive what you offer at this moment. And noticing what's going on inside of your system right now, what you're experiencing physically, emotionally, mentally, maybe spiritually. See if you can remember this. Imagine walking through the world with this. Now bringing the human family into your heart, as we now narrow our focus and bring your awareness back from your center and from your heart, become aware of those in this meditation circle. Bringing the human family with you. And taking those in this meditation circle into your heart as you bring your focus from your center and your heart back to your surroundings. And bringing your surroundings with you as you bring your focus back from your center and from your heart to yourself. And as a way to close this practice, let's take another deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. Registering, noticing how activated or charged is your core right now, your battery. How activated is your heart? Let your nervous system remember this, your cells remember this, your muscles, muscle memory remember this. Slowly open your eyes. Look around your space, stretch your body, shake your body. So we started with a motivation, we did our practice, now we have some time to reflect. So this is when you can unmute and feel free to share what was your experience, what came up for you with the little talk that I gave, what came up with you in the practice, what's coming up for you in life. We're here to support one another and share from our own experience. Who would like to start?
I can start. My name is Pam. This is my
Yeah.
time. I'm taking a class with Joe and Todd through work, and the first session really resonated with me, and Joe mentioned about this meditation group. The thing that was really empowering was to be given the chance to name my adversaries, you know, because so much in this world, we're not supposed to, well, I guess, I don't know if it's the case anymore, but I was raised to not, there are no enemies or adversaries. But the truth is, humans have adversaries. And part of adopting humanity in your heart is to identify how you feel about others. And feeling negatively about others is natural. It's not good or bad, it's just human. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you. And I would say the first step to reconciliation and healing. Thank you for saying that.
I'll go.
Sure.
Well, it was all beautiful, but what resonated and amplified what I've been already sitting with is what you spoke to at the beginning, about what values are we holding. And I'm not a shy person. I have my opinions. I have my beliefs. I'm not shy about vocalizing them. And I've been sitting with this like weird conundrum of, I actually pride myself on being extremely transparent in my life, whether on Facebook or like just sharing of who I am in my life. And I've held back a little, not because I don't, whatever beliefs I hold, but because recently I'm aware of so much divisiveness that we're seeing everywhere, and that my core value are the people in my life, regardless of beliefs, whether it's masks or anything else. It could be a list of 100 things, but I'll still have my, you know, whatever I hold, but my value is not my primary value is not the divisive battles, but how do I love everybody, and how do I still hold everyone, and how do I maintain the connections above whatever we all believe, which I honor for everybody. And so putting that above my own transparency per se of everything I feel has been something I've been struggling and sitting with.
Thank you, Raven. That's very beautiful. And thank you for the sounds of Costa Rica. It's very nice to hear them in the background. And I, you know, what I say with that is that, you know, I don't know if it's exactly the same, but this is saying that's a lot in the work that I'm doing, is it's just this thing that, you know, you might be right? In your arguments, you might be right. But the question is, do you want to be right, or do you want to be effective? And I think that's really it, is we spend a lot of time proving that we're right, and that it activates a whole bunch of delicious hormones that make us feel really great. And we go home, but nothing has really shifted. There's still the same challenges in the world. And I think that, and it sounds like that's what's shifting for you. Is that
it's not about being right. It's like about being there for my clients and for my friends, and transcending belief, and what's healing, and what's our traumas, and what's our stuff, and where's our hearts. And everyone's going to believe different things. And I want to hold for the transformation and the evolution of the heart. So.
Thank you. Thank you.
I could drop in. I found out this morning that a very dear friend of mine died last night. And so he's really present with me. And I would ask of all of you who are willing, if you could just kind of bring him into your hearts and wish him well on his way, wherever he's going, if he's going somewhere. He might just be here, I don't know. But so even in meditating, I mean, he's kind of, what he brings up in me is our connection and creativity and artist, the kinship of being artists, and you know, bringing our creative expression into the world. But mainly I just wanted to sort of salute him, because he was a wonderful person.
Okay.
I'm gonna. Yeah.
Do you mind sharing his name, Paul?
Yeah, his name is Peter Hill. He was just a great artist, creative guy with a peculiar and fascinating sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I really loved him a lot. I do love him a lot. So, but thanks.
Thank you. We definitely will hold him. I'll hold him in my heart, and I'm sure there'll be more in this circle that will. Thank you for bringing him in. You said Peter? Peter. Thank you. And it's good to have you here, Paul. Thank you for joining us. Okay. Where are you? What city are you in?
I'm just outside of New York City on Long Island.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
In Huntington.
I've heard of it, yeah. Thanks. Trish has written a book here. No, I'm just kidding. Has written a lot here. You don't want to just say it, Trish?
Okay, I'll say it. I've been absent for a few weeks. Yeah, this idea of Joe, you talked about an act of activism and sort of what is your passion, what is your truth. I just finished a 5-week design studio teaching rising 8th graders. Studio in a virtual studio, weird. But they created such beautiful work. And one of the things I kept telling them is, you know, the real power is in the uniqueness of the drawings that they were creating and the design work that they were doing, because they were all different. We would look at the same still life and they would draw, they created 50 different voices. And there's something beautiful and powerful in that. And that was what I was really trying to kind of help lift them up with. And it's exactly what you were saying this morning. You know, it's your own personal truth that you bring to the world that actually elevates it. And then the other thing I said was I loved that idea of like an act of activism. I was listening to an interview with Chance the Rapper the other day, and he sort of said this beautiful thing, which is you don't show up to be the best, you show up to be better. And I just found that to be so profound. And yes, we all love to be right. I do. I adore it.
Yes,
so those things really resonated with me. And I was writing because I felt I haven't been with you all for the past several weeks because my Tuesday mornings have been teaching, but I just wanted to share that. And I just also wanted to say thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you. What I like about that is it's inherent in what you're saying is that it's about the expression of it, right? So that it's great to cultivate your own authenticity and spend time on yourself. But what's directly happening is that it's then directly expressed out, which means it's having an impact. And I'm always bringing it back to this time. How can we have an impact? I think that's important. Tilko, is he still here? Or did he just leave? Tilko had to go. Next time. All right, well, I think we should sum up unless there was someone who had anything else to say. One more thing, maybe?
I'll just say quickly, I'm grateful for being with you all today. I think especially in this moment where sometimes it's like, I think I often think about these gatherings in terms of my relationship to the world. But I liked what Pam said about the adversaries, and when the adversary also is like the person you live with and love the most. I find these this being together a really good reminder, and I just appreciate the reminder about like that it's an act of activism to walk through the world as your best self, and that like the home is also a place of activism. So I needed that reminder today very badly. So thank
That can be sometimes the most toughest battlefield.
you. Totally. I was like,
Okay. Thank you, darling. Well, what I think is interesting has been a theme of artists today. It seems like art and what's the colors on your palette and how are you expressing that from your highest values to think about. So bringing that creativity into our dedication with this energy that we've generated together, this random group of people that come together to hold heart space for not only ourselves, but also for all human beings and therefore for the whole planet. And this for me has an impact as we inject the world with this and we inject the World Wide Web with this. So let's use that energy to just for yourself, thinking your own heart, your dedication. Who would you like to dedicate this to? How would you like to dedicate it? Let's dedicate it certainly to Peter, to the 8th graders. May they find peace, fullest expression of their best selves. Those who are finding their voices, may they find the courage to speak it clearly and effectively. Those of whose job it is at this moment to listen, may they sit down and listen with courage and effectively. And may all beings on this planet have enough fresh water to drink and food to eat. May all governments and leaders govern from a place of wisdom as opposed to fear and greed. All right, thank you all. It's great to see you. New faces, great to see. Keep coming back. Tell your friends about this, especially if they're from different continents. It's fun to bring in more and more variety in that. Have a great week, well, and see you next week.
Thank you.
much love. Take care.